Okay, welcome back to World Cup coverage, everybody. We're at round 20 of 31, and my record at this point in time is 10 wins, 9 losses. And I'm pitted against Jerry Lerman, a legend of the game. He's been around for way longer than I've been alive. Champion of some sort. He won. Did he know? I think he won a national championship. Anyways, yeah, he's been around for forever, and he's still kicking. It's pretty incredible how he's managed to just stay among the top experts of North America for such a long time. And this is the first time. This is the first time I ever played him. I might have played him before. I don't actually remember, but it had been a really long time, if so, that I hadn't played him. And he was actually first. So this is the correct opening play, but he was the one that opened with the bingo. And I think this is now the 6th or 7th time that my opponent has played a bingo on their opening move in this tournament. Myself, I think I had done it already 3 or 4 times. And both those numbers are way above average. Normally on average, it's around a 1 in 7 chance that happens on the first move. And there've been 20 rounds, so if you do the math, that's around like a 1 in 3. 1 in 3 games, opponents are opening with the bingo. So yeah, this is actually a good metric to look at, like how many times you've opened with the bingo and how many times your opponent opens with the bingo, just to see if you really want to see how potentially unlucky you've been getting. It's a good baseline. Like, it's really difficult to recover from an opening bingo in Scrabble. It's the hardest thing to do. I would say. I mean, I don't know what I'm comparing that to, but anyways, Jerry opens with emotion, and I start to cry. No, but here I have one of the hooks for emotion. That's an R, and the play of Grizz is forced. It's a really good play, but yeah, there's nothing else to consider. 44 points. And here Jerry plays Eugenic. Is it here that he plays it? Yeah, he plays Eugenic for 12, and this is the first instance where you actually get to see, I guess, the old school strategy in action, where I mean, this is probably a decent play. It might even be the best play, but without knowledge of his 7th letter, I can tell you that making a play like this for 12 points, what Jerry has in mind is what is called turnover. Tile turnover, playing as many tiles as possible to try and draw the S's, the blanks, especially the blanks. And a pitfall of this play is that Jerry's ahead by 30. He's just played for 12, and he's giving me a spot at H1 to score really decently. So without any inference whatsoever, he's actually not really favored to win. And that's actually what he's playing into. He knows that, like, in this position, he's probably not doing super well. So why not try and turn over the tiles in his favor? So next turn, opponent average score 47. So on average, I'll be ahead after his next play, after my next play. So yeah, this is potentially, I don't know what his last letter was, of course. Maybe it was an E. It's a very dangerous play. I don't know if I would ever make. I'm saying ever, but like, if there's even stuff like Cutie keeping the G might even be better, or queuing. Yeah, queuing, just if I have 2 E's, I'll play queuing over Eugenic for sure. But anyways, I was happy to see this come down, except I actually didn't have anything to do there. I drew another S, I drew an F, an O, and I drew another P. So I actually can't hit the spot very hard. The only thing I can do there is stop. And now it's like, well, do I actually want to do this and give Jerry a bingo lane in exchange for taking away a scoring spot? It's not a great position, but nothing else really stuck out here. I will put in a couple of other plays and maybe run a little simulation here, but yeah, after a long think, I was just like, I guess I have to play stop. I mean, keeping another S, I have the eugenics hook. The F, the P, and the S together are not good. They're not friends, but I should be able to score decently next turn. I can even just drop the F sometimes at C9 if I have a good bingo rack. But yeah, something like FOP might be better. It bingos a ton more on our next turn. We bingo 50% of the time. Sometimes we'll be able to use this E if Jerry isn't able to. But yeah, this could have been an inaccurate response to this play that just really opens things. And if I even infer an E on Jerry's rack or something, it might just make it even better to just leave this spot open. Because if I know he has at least one tile that doesn't score any points, well, scores 1 point, then it's less likely to have higher scoring tiles. So very interesting stuff. I was happy to just take the scoring spot and try and I don't know, try and score and come back to the game. And Jerry is able to keep going with his plan. He plays off 6 tiles again, this time for 48 points, not opening anything impressive at all. So Allenry, very nice find. And he's really going for those blanks. And I mean, Allenry, anybody would play that, but yeah, he's his plan is coming into action for sure. So here, I draw somewhat poorly to my FPS, but like I said, FPS is not a good leave. And I decided to play Fub. I could play Bung, and I could play Fob, and I could also play Fop again. But I decided that Fub, PNGS had some potential of being a next turn. I could draw a couple vowels. And yeah, definitely at a pretty big disadvantage at this point. But I thought that I could power through, hopefully, and maybe maybe Jerry would have to slow down with some draw that he didn't like. And that's the thing about the old school of going for tile turnover. It's really not a big variable in a position most of the time, whether to play more or less tiles. And the issue with playing a lot of tiles to go for the good tiles is that there are actually more bad tiles in the game than there are good tiles, like the V's, the U's, the Q, the G's, all the tiles that are worth like less than 0, which is most of them. Yeah, like those are tiles that if you draw duplicates of them, or if you draw them together, or if you just draw the Q, you're in some trouble, and you're just as likely to draw a V as you are a blank. And so you have to sort of be aware of that when trying to maximize your chances at the blank. So I played Fub, and here Jerry slows down a bit to score 43 points with the jar. And I actually draw pretty well here. I draw a blank, I draw a vowel, I draw an L. And here I just did not know if slopings was a valid word. I wanted to play it, but I thought Jerry might know better than me whether it's a word or not. And I felt like I couldn't risk it. So I didn't play slopings. It's actually not a word, but it would have been very, very difficult to challenge considering that I do have sloping and eugenics, and because it's very hard to keep those ing words that do or don't take an S straight for anybody, for any one player. So sloping comes down, and of course I regret this because it gives Jerry a big scoring spot. I've tied the game up, but gave him a triple to score through and play another 6 tiles. So he did draw a V, but with workable letters. And he still hasn't drawn a blank, and I actually drew the first blank. And yeah, here I also had some trouble. So here I played 7 tiles, and this is what I drew back. And this is the sort of stuff you can often see people drawing when they go for tile turnover over rack balancing. So here I played I think that's the best play among a host of very, very bad plays. I think scoring 27, getting rid of one of the U's, and just trying to slowly get the rack back on track is probably the call. So comes down here. The response by Jerry is Wad for 29. And I draw into this, and I play a Wii. I really didn't know what to do here. BEAU is very dangerous. Not only does it take all the T's and the S's, it also takes an X, which Jerry probably doesn't have, but he could have drawn. So I didn't like playing that. And the other options, like maybe I can keep an E. I didn't see Rubas. That's a pretty cool idea. So let's actually give this a little sim here. I don't think Bo should be in the sim though. Yeah, I should take that out, I think. But yeah, I didn't like making this play, of course, because it gets rid of my E's. The E was the best letter on my rack. I guess the N is also pretty good, but there were some E's to draw, still 5 left. And this didn't really give much back and score decently. So I thought that this was probably the right call. Nothing seems to be poking out of the simulation, so I'll just keep going. So I played a Wii, and Jerry played Fad for 22. So he's slowed down. Sloan, I said Sloan. Oops. I've started saying Sloan ever since one of my club mates played Sloan in a tournament, and I thought it was hilarious that he thought that that was the past tense of slow. Now I think it's the past tense of slow when I speak. So Scrabble is life, of course. And here I actually draw the other blank. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm down 35, but this is very nice. The problem is I think I missed cut bank here. If I'm right about what my letters are, which it seems like I am. I had incubate. I think I saw that and thought that it was not worth playing, but cut bank definitely is. And it's kind of hard to fit this making pack, but I needed to see that, and I did not. Instead, I played. Wait a sec. Oh, this isn't right. Sorry. I think this was actually Marak BUN. Yeah, this was it. Yeah, sorry. I'll show you my score sheets. I'm not protecting you guys from my failures. Don't worry. Cab for 21, keeping NUIT blank. I didn't have that C. That C actually comes into play a bit later. Yeah, next turn actually. So I actually played cab. I saw a butt, and I didn't think this was worth playing. Could also play mib. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't miss cut bank. That kind of surprised me at first. So it's good that I didn't continue under that assumption and forget what my actual rack was for the next turn. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of this because it kept an eye with so many eyes unseen. I'm not a fan of keeping eyes on my rack when there are lots of eyes to duplicate. So I could see something like mib, even though two fewer points. I could see it being potentially better. And a butt I thought might be okay, but there are lots of bad case scenarios like HONE sort of plays that could occur. That would really, really hurt me. But there are also some good case scenarios where I could even draw into triples sometimes. So who actually really knows? Seems very close between those plays. So pick your poison. And cab is what I chose. And here, Jerry plays Facta for 20. And I bingo. So here I drew into this rack and there's one bingo and it's unedited. And I considered not bingoing here, but yeah, I didn't really see any great potential of bingoing in the near future, but it's actually not that bad. I could see myself forgoing the bingo. The problem with playing unedited is I lose instantly to Q plays that score even more than my bingo. But the times that I don't lose to Q plays, which again, Jerry probably does not have the Q because he played Facta, where when he could have played QI, he could have played a host of plays getting rid of the Q, like Kaid, QAT. So I thought with that in mind, it was better to bingo here. Another reason, by the way, that I didn't want to play cab is that there are only a couple A's left, and the A is actually really useful for the A column. Sometimes I can bingo ending in A, especially with a blank. But yeah, just a little tidbit there. So I play unedited, and I think I'm in good shape here, except I'm not. And Mr. Lerman plays Elevons for 86 with villagers, and I am just in deep trouble. Because yeah, now I'm down 61 points. Unseen tiles aren't so friendly. There's huge scoring potential on the board, either with the Q or on the 15 row, and I really don't know what to do. I figure I should play Ruth to maximize the amount of bingo lanes on the board. Let me save this game. 20 versus Jerry. So let's run championship player and see what championship player says. So I could take the scoring spot out and well, I could take the 15 row out and leave myself vulnerable to Quinn, because that's the only, Quinn and Quay are the only two words that fit there. So you need to have either the I and the N with the Q or the E and the Y with the Q, which is not a given. He doesn't necessarily even have the other Q. Doesn't necessarily even have the Q. There's a 50% chance he drew it after Elevons. So something like Thur might be reasonable. The problem with Thur is that it blocks a bingo spot. So if Jerry has the Q already and he doesn't even have a play here, he doesn't have to worry about it. He can just play in this area and block the board, which Quackle doesn't understand. I could also play Hurt, which is a few more points, and I feel like if I do this, I'm less likely to, Quackle's less likely to screw me here, but it seems like Hurt is doing better. Hurt and Huri are preferred. Let's see if this works. Yes, great. And so just by looking at our next turn, it's pretty crazy. Opponent cannot bingo next turn, but after Ruth, our bingo chances are very low in comparison to Huri or Hurt, which means that both of those plays are definitely better than Huri, definitely better than Ruth. I thought Ruth was the best play, but turns out keeping the O really helps me out, or keeping STT rather than keeping an I, so that I don't duplicate my I's. So this was definitely a pre-game mistake and could definitely have cost me the game. But for some reason, I thought Ruth was the best option considering the tile pool, but I was totally wrong in that regard. That is a huge, huge difference in bingo chances. So I think Hurt is probably the best play. It scores more. I don't even have to necessarily, like, if Jerry has the Q, he might actually not win. But there's this huge X spot. So yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff going on this board. But by playing hurt, I think I just maximize my chances of bingoing, maybe even from the tee. That could be why. Third, I just don't think works very often. But maybe it does. Like maybe I can threaten some scoring plays and win the game that way. But yeah, definitely not the right play. So let's just say hurt. Yeah. So strategy large. It's a big mistake. Cutting my winning chances by a whole bunch. So Ruth comes down, and unfortunately, Jerry starts putting down his X. I think he started by putting it in this spot, and then he might have switched it to this spot, then he switched it to this spot. And it didn't actually matter where he played Ox, but unseen to him apparently was one bingo. I don't remember what he said it was. Was it corkiest? Yeah, I think it was corkiest that he saw was unseen to him and that he wanted to block. So that's what he did. Unfortunately, I drew the Q, and the game is now over. Or is it? I was trying to figure out if there was some crazy plan when he was considering his different placements of his X to draw bingo in 2 spots or to win some other way. I'm down 65. And I decided that if I played kiters and drew the Q, or drew an I, 3 eyes left, and he failed to block QI and IF, I might win. So let's say he has this rack, and he decides to play. What could he even play that's so bad? Like maybe he plays Yin, then QI wins by 2. Okay, yeah, that's not happening, but I thought maybe it could, and it was just the best move for purposes of spread. But yeah, the game is totally lost here. If I play off my Q, maybe I can draw into like Keister or something, and he fails to block, but that's not happening either. So yeah, I decided to just play kiters. Quackle's probably going to think QI is better because it's going to assume that Jerry plays in the 4L spot. But yeah, it's Trek. I think I saw that as well. Thought that was a cool idea. But yeah, I didn't realize that I should have been blocking maybe Ian. So yeah, I think Trek was probably the best play. But I don't draw the I draw the O. And here Jerry plays Ian. And I play QI. He plays GI. And I go out with Oxo. And I lose by 18 points. But for some reason... Oh, he played Ian for 26. Oops. Okay. Never mind. So QI here, and then he plays... This makes more sense. Then he plays GI, and I go with Oxo. And yeah, turns out I only lose by 14, even though I knew the game was just totally dead. And that's the game, and that's the game that puts me 10-10. And if I thought the tournament was over last round when I lost to Kenji, it was definitely over this round. Now that I'm 10-10 with 11 games to go, 21-10 is not even going to win the tournament at this point. So yeah, just have to hunker down and keep playing Scrabble. And yeah, I can't hide my disappointment. Obviously, I was crushed here. I didn't really know if I was playing poorly, what was happening. And anyways, maybe things will get better for next round. We'll see. Next round, I'm playing David Pearl from California. and sure to be a banger. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching, as always.